Looking poor isn't about deprivation, it's about intentionality. In this video, we'll explore how focusing on what truly matters and ditching unnecessary expenses can lead to a surprising kind of richness. The freedom to pursue your passions, travel the world, and live life on your terms. Suppose you walk into a high-stakes business meeting. Your attire is modest and your appearance is far from the polished, high-end look expected in such meetings. While others are sporting the latest designer suits, you're in a simple outfit. Yet somehow this seemingly poor look seems to be working in your favor. Surprising, right? But there's more to this story than meets the eye. Looking poor might sound odd, but it can be surprisingly advantageous in various scenarios. It's not about glorifying poverty or undervaluing success. Rather, it's about understanding how appearances can impact perceptions and outcomes in different contexts. So why exactly is looking poor important, and how can it play a crucial role in your personal and professional life? Well, for starters, it's a surefire way to keep your hard-earned cash where it belongs, in your pocket. When you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses, you're free to focus on what matters. That could be saving for a rainy day, investing in your future, or simply having the freedom to pursue your passions without the constant pressure of maintaining a specific image. Moreover, it isn't about pretending to be someone you're not, but finding ways to be more relatable and approachable. Looking poor or dressing down can humanize you, making it easier for others to see you as a person rather than a status symbol. It's about stripping away the external layers that might intimidate or alienate people, revealing a more authentic and accessible version of yourself. But it goes deeper than that. Looking poor is about breaking free from the endless cycle of consumption that's been drilled into our heads since day one. It's about saying no thanks to the latest gadgets, designer labels, and overpriced status symbols that society tells us we need to be happy and prosperous. Think about it. How often have you bought something to impress others or fit in with a particular crowd? It's a trap we've all fallen into at some point. But when you embrace the looking poor lifestyle, you're liberated from those social pressures. You're free to be yourself, quirks and all, without worrying about whether your shoes are the right brand or your car is flashy enough. And it's not just about the big-ticket items. Looking poor is a mindset that seeps into every aspect of your life. It's about finding joy in the simple things, like a home-cooked meal instead of an overpriced restaurant, or a night in with friends rather than dropping a small fortune at the club. But looking poor doesn't mean living like a hermit or never treating yourself. It's about being intentional with your choices and spending money on things that genuinely bring value to your life. Maybe for Alex, that means splurging on high-quality coffee maker because he knows it'll save him money in the long run compared to daily trips to the local cafe. Now, let's get into some reasons why looking poor can be your way to ace financially. Number 4. Looking poor can be a smart financial strategy. The concept of looking poor as a strategy for building wealth is deeply rooted in how different socioeconomic groups perceive and use money. This mindset shift can be a powerful tool for financial success and is worth further exploring. At the most basic level, those struggling financially often view money as a means of survival. It's about paying bills, putting food on the table, and keeping a roof over their heads. This perspective is understandable when every dollar is crucial for meeting immediate needs. However, this mindset can sometimes lead to a cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, with little room for long-term financial planning. Moving up the economic ladder, we find the middle class. Money is often seen as a way to achieve comfort and status here. It's about affording nice things, taking vacations, and projecting an image of success. This is where we often see people taking on what Robert Kiyosaki calls liabilities: car loans, credit card debt, or mortgages on houses that stretch their budgets. While these purchases might provide short-term satisfaction or social status, they can hinder long-term wealth accumulation. The wealthy, however, tend to view money differently. For them, money is a tool for creating more money. They focus on acquiring assets, stocks, real estate, businesses that generate income and appreciate over time. This perspective allows them to build wealth exponentially, often while maintaining a relatively modest lifestyle. It is where the concept of looking poor comes into play. By eschewing visible displays of wealth, financially savvy individuals can redirect their resources toward wealth-building activities. It's not about deprivation, but prioritizing long-term financial health over short-term impressions. Warren Buffett, for example, despite being worth over $100 billion, still lives in the modest house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. His frugality and investment strategy exemplify how the wealthy prioritize asset accumulation over outward displays of wealth. Mark Zuckerberg, known for his casual attire of gray t-shirts and hoodies, and Jeff Bezos, who drove a 1997 Honda Accord for years after becoming a billionaire, also illustrate this principle. These individuals understand their wealth doesn't need to be flaunted through extravagant possessions or appearances. Their focus remains on what truly matters, building and maintaining their financial empires. The choice to dress simply and live modestly sends a powerful message that their priorities lie in the intrinsic value of their ventures rather than in superficial appearances. Interestingly, data supports this mindset. High earners, specifically those making over $250,000 annually, often drive practical cars like Hondas, Fords, and Toyotas. This reinforces that wealth is not about flashy displays, but practical and prudent financial decisions. Wealthy individuals recognize that they do not need to prove their status through their possessions, because they are secure in their achievements and economic strategies. Anyone can adopt this mindset of not needing to look rich, regardless of their current financial situation. It's about understanding the long-term benefits of investing in assets and prioritizing financial stability over immediate gratification. Whether paying off debt, improving your credit score, or building an emergency fund, focusing on these financial goals rather than outward appearances can lead to greater security and peace of mind. Number 3. Trying to look rich can be a real money pit. Do you know that feeling when you see your neighbor roll up in a shiny new car and suddenly your reliable old ride feels shabby? That's the keeping up with the Joneses trap, and it's a doozy. Suppose you can buy a practical Toyota Camry for $20,000. You've saved up and you can pay cash, and it'll get you where you need to go. But then your neighbor pulls up in a Tesla Cybertruck, and suddenly that Camry feels like a kid's toy. Next thing you know, you're eyeing a $100,000 Porsche Cayenne. Sure, you'll need a hefty loan, but hey, you gotta keep up with the Joneses, right? But that decision isn't just about the extra $80,000. It's a whole financial domino effect. You're looking at sky-high monthly payments, insurance that'll make your wallet weep, and maintenance costs that could fund a short vacation. And let's not forget depreciation. That shiny new Porsche will lose value faster than anything else. When people start sacrificing their financial goals to buy luxury items they can't afford, it's like jumping onto a debt treadmill that never stops. Did you know the average American is lugging around $66,000 in credit card debt? That's no joke. If you've got a $6,000 balance with a 24% interest rate and only make minimum payments, you're looking at over 25 years of payments. And get this, you'll end up shelling out over $117,000. That's nearly triple what you originally spent. But wait, it gets worse. Ever heard of opportunity cost? It's all that money you could have invested instead of blowing it on trying to look rich. Let's say you skip the fancy car and invest that $80,000 in the stock market instead. With an average return of 10%, you could be sitting on over $200,000 in just a decade. That's enough to buy 2 Porsche Cayennes outright, one to drive and one to use as a costly lawn ornament. So what's the takeaway here? It's simple. Looking rich can prevent you from becoming rich. Instead of trying to impress the neighbors, focus on impressing your future self. Drive that reliable car, invest the difference, and watch your wealth grow. Number 2. Looking rich can mess with your head. It's not just your wallet that takes a hit when you're always trying to look wealthy. your mental health can take a nosedive too. A 2023 study found that the larger the wealth gap in a neighborhood, the worse the mental health of its residents. This phenomenon can be explained by the social comparison theory in psychology. Essentially, people's feelings of happiness or sadness are not solely based on their income, but relative to those around them. Imagine you earn a six-figure salary, have a decent chunk of savings, and you own your house. On paper, this sounds pretty good, right? But if you live in an area where your neighbors are multimillionaires with multiple vacation homes, you might feel less satisfied with your own situation. The social comparison theory suggests that constantly comparing ourselves to others is human nature. If those around us have more wealth, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy and unhappiness, regardless of our financial success. This need to keep up with others can be incredibly detrimental. It creates a cycle where people spend money they don't have to maintain appearances, leading to more debt and financial stress. The more we compare ourselves negatively to others, the more it impacts our mental health and personal happiness. There will always be someone wealthier or more successful. This endless comparison can be exhausting. From a personal perspective, the impact of financial pressures and comparisons can be profound. Growing up without much financial security can create a lot of financial baggage and trauma that affects you later in life. It's not just about the lack of money, but also about the constant worry and stress of trying to make ends meet. The bottom line is this: trying to keep up with the Joneses is a game you can't win. There's always going to be someone with more stuff, a fancier car, a bigger house. But at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't define you. What matters is how you feel about yourself and your life. Number 1. Things suddenly become more expensive than usual. Trying to look wealthy can cost you more than you might think. Picture this. A 2018 study asked people how much they'd charge a potential client for their services. Some participants saw a picture of the client looking all high-end and fancy, while others saw the same person dressed casually. And guess what? People quoted way higher prices for the fancy-dressed client. In another study, folks were asked how much they'd charge to wash a new Mercedes-Benz versus an old Mitsubishi. You guessed it, the Mercedes owner got quoted a much higher price. So, if you're considering dressing to impress, remember that it might not always pay off. And it's not just about shelling out extra cash, there's a social side to this too. Many want to look wealthy to feel like they've made it or to fit in. The Ross School of Business conducted a study that showed people's social media profiles. Some profiles had modest updates, while others flaunted luxury items. Think expensive clothes, fancy cars, and exotic vacations. The flashy profiles did come off as wealthier, but they were also seen as status-seeking and self-absorbed. Because of this, fewer people wanted to connect with them, and they were less likely to be included in social groups. So next time you're tempted to buy something just to show off, consider whether it's worth the extra cost and stress. Invest in yourself and your future instead. True wealth comes from living within your means, making smart choices, and building a fulfilling life, not just flashy. Now, which of these strategies impressed you the most? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See ya!